It's only February, but baseball season is upon us. UVA Wise gets it going this weekend when they travel to King to begin a 4-game weekend set. Joining us, head coach of the Cavaliers, Brandon Costa. Coach, thanks for taking some time out to join us today.
No problem, Daryl. Appreciate you having me on.
Coach, before we get into this season, I'd like to ask you a few broad questions about the program. You know, you were here when we were in the Mountain East. We made the transition to the South Atlantic Conference. You're entering your second year as a head coach. 14-win improvement last year. Talk about that and where you think the baseball program stands as a whole now as we enter our another year here in the South Atlantic.
Yeah, I think we definitely took a step in the right direction last season. I think the guys, we were a younger team, but a lot of guys stepped up, and we did have a good mix of older guys. So it was kind of a good blend of young and old for us last year. And then guys really just stepping up in roles and getting the job done when they were called upon. So last year we definitely took a step in the right direction. And then I think this year, you have those guys coming back and that have a year of experience that were freshmen last year. Now they're sophomores, or you have sophomores that are juniors, obviously guys that are kind of getting older. And we did bring in a good crop of young players, obviously true freshmen and then transfers as well. So I think you look at that dynamic of what we had in the program last year, kind of, culture was set. The standard was set. I like using that word a little bit more. The standard was set. And, now it's just a matter of taking that next step, which for us is winning the conference championship. And we established that last year at the end of the season when we had our team dinner after our exit interviews. And I told the guys, I said, as the season went on, I felt like this is a team that's hungry to win, that's ready to win, that knows what it takes to win. Now we just that's our goal. That's what we're going to do. And, that was said last, I guess, May after finals or whatever it was. And, it's kind of been something that we've been talking about practice every day since August 25th. So it's been a good fall. It's been a good spring so far, even though we haven't been able to get out on the field yet, just on the infield on Saturday. But, the guys understand what we're trying to do in the program. They understand the standard that's been set. And now it's just a matter about going out there and winning ball games.
I think stability in any organization is key to long-term success, and you've got some stability in your coaching staff. And we'll start on the pitching side of things. Your team ERA last year, still over 8. That's a number you would like to see lower, but it improved dramatically. It was over 14 the year before. John Chalupa there, your pitching coach, and you have an addition now as an assistant pitching coach. I'll let you talk about that and the improvements you saw on the mound last year and kind of your expectations going into the 23 season.
Yeah, I think what Coach Chalupa does with our guys is pretty awesome. Just from an individual development standpoint, he does a great job of communicating with these guys and putting them in a position to succeed by watching film, by talking to the pitchers, constant communication with them. I mean, he'll have, I don't know how many meetings he'll have a week, with individual meetings a week he'll have with these guys, just talking about pitching and how they can get better and small adjustments they can make to improve their pitches or just to improve their mechanics, anything like that. So he does a really good job of the individual development and just making sure that these guys are getting better and making sure that he's communicating with them and listening to them. I think that goes a really long way with our pitching staff, and I believe that they trust them. I believe that they're bought into what he is wanting to teach them, what he's wanting to coach them. And it's kind of easy to see when you have guys coming in and wanting to talk about pitching. And that's what Coach Chalupa wants. He wants these guys to be bought in. And I think he really has that with our pitching staff. And you look at what they did last year, like I said, a lot of young guys, and they really bought into wanting to get better, wanting to win and wanting to compete. And I think you saw that as the year went on. The more innings that those younger guys got, the more comfortable they got on the mound, throwing big pitches, 2-2, 3-2, throwing that off speed if they had to, and getting an out. And then, we have Mike Miller, who is our assistant pitching coach. He helps out Coach Chalupa a bunch. That's huge because now Mike can watch them or just kind of watch over them while they're doing their post throw or their movement stuff. And Coach Chalupa can watch the guys that are doing their bullpens. And then they do a great job of kind of making sure the pitchers are covered, making sure guys are getting the attention that they need. So I think this year, all I want from our pitchers, and this is what I always tell them, just from a head coaching standpoint and not a pitching guy standpoint, is go out there and throw outs. I don't care about the strikeouts. I don't care about, ERA, just throw outs. Just make competitive pitches, be competitive in the strike zone, and make your big pitches when you need to make them, and we'll be fine. Let your defense play defense. Get them out quick, 3 pitches or less. That's the goal, and that's what I want to see from our pitching staff. And we are, I think we're more talented on the mound this year, not only with the guys getting experience and a year older, but also the pitchers and the arms that we brought in I think are pretty good. So I'm excited to watch them compete this year.
On the offensive side of the things, Coach Steven, former player here, he's been in the program now, I think since 2016 as a coach. The work he has done exit velo wise with our hitters, and then last year our team on base percentage was almost 390.
Yeah, you look at what he does on a daily basis as well, and it's similar to what Coach Chalupa does, just on the individual development and getting these guys better. It's unbelievable, and for me as a head coach, it's great because I can be hands off. I throw BP when he needs me to throw BP, and I just kind of let him do his thing because he really understands what each individual hitter needs to get better at, and then he gives them that template to get better at whatever their deficiency is. And then obviously the things that they're strong at, we just continue to get strong at. So there's some measurables in there and everything like that. But when you look at how our guys have developed, the exit velo is one of those things. But also I think what he does a really good job of is having these guys recognize pitches, even though we haven't been outside, even though we haven't, been able to inter squad. We've had our live ABs on the weekends up in the cage. Just what he's able to do with the machine, what he's able to do with different zones, and be able to communicate with the guys on simplifying the hitting zones, I guess you could say, and getting them to verbalize, okay, that ball was in this spot, and he has a system for it, and our guys understand that system. And I think that's the biggest thing early, is being able to recognize pitches, recognize spin, recognize location. Because that's the toughest thing for guys to do, I think, when they get outside. And Coach Bill's been doing a great job of that with our hitters up in the cage, and utilizing the resources that we do have and maximizing that to make sure that these guys are prepared to go face King in, however many days it is, 4 days. So really excited with the work that our whole coaching staff has put in with our players. And I'm really excited just to see those guys go out there and compete now.
I think it takes a sort of type of mental toughness here. UVA West traditionally plays a lot of games on the road to start the season. This year's no different. 20 straight on the road, 23 of your first 24 away from your home park. Last year, you guys played a lot of one-run games. You were 6-1 in one-run games. The mental toughness that built, how can you carry that over now, starting this season with so many road games here to start the year?
I think it's just something that maybe you touch on a little bit here and there as a coach, and talk about, working through things mentally and being able to push some of the extra noise away and to the side. But I think it really comes down to the guys in the back, the guys in the clubhouse. I think a mentality might kind of be something that a head coach talks about, but then the guys on the roster, the guys in the back, they kind of take it and run with it, and they make it their own. And I think when you look at the one-run games and everything like that, I mean, during the fall, we try to put guys in positions to fail and kind of make things tough on them. Not in like a really bad way, but just in a situational way where they have to lock in and get a job done. And if they don't, hey man, learn from it and do better the next time. Like, this is going to happen. And it's okay. You just need to learn from it. I think what the guys have done in the back is they've become even closer than they were last year. And with that mentality of just win, do whatever it takes to win, the mental toughness side, I think, takes care of itself. When you have a common goal and it's a clear goal, the excess stuff, being on the road, the weather, having to be inside for 3 weeks before you open up, that's neither here nor there. It's not really a factor, because the guys in the back understand what we're trying to do, and that's win. And whatever you need to do to win, you just go out there and do it. So I think on the mental toughness side, I think the guys have really kind of, developed an identity, and they believe in it. They're bought into it. They're all on the same page with it. And I'm excited to see kind of that identity kind of hatch this fall or this spring.
Head coach Brandon Costa, the UVA-wise baseball team. Coach, I think everything in this game starts on the mound, so we'll start there when looking at this year's team. Who are some names of some guys? Obviously, we can't go through the full roster, but fans should be looking for this spring, and then I guess kind of assess how you'll handle your pitchers here in the early going with the cold weather, trying to get them built up, and how you'll handle that.
Yeah, so you look at some of the main guys obviously coming back. You got, Whitson, who did a heck of a job out of the bullpen for us last year. You have Snyder, who kind of started in a bullpen role last year and then became a starter and did a really good job in that role and kind of settled into that role. You also have David Kelleher, who was a reliever for us last year, did a great job. So you have a lot of guys that are coming back. Hunter Anderson, another one that really did a really good job of kind of closing out games for us and coming in high stress situations and just locking in and getting the job done. So you look at some of the guys that we have coming back, and then some additions. Daniel Carnegie, he's a transfer from the University of Charleston. He's done a really good job since he's come into the program. You got Eli Reese, that's a freshman out of Georgia. He's got a pretty special arm, I think, and I think he has the right mindset to kind of. We're going to have him start this weekend, and I think he's got the right mindset to be a starter. You got Clayton Lancer, junior college transfer, really good command, has plus stuff, really has developed some of his off speed, and I think has improved his fastball a little bit. And he's a very competitive person in the right way. We're in the right way. It's two different people, which is what you want. It's a different person on the mound and a different person than when you see him kind of walking around or whatever. And that's kind of what you want. So we definitely have some big additions. There's a lot of young arms that are talented. That Coach Bill did a great job of bringing in, and then also what Coach Chalupa has done with those guys. Just on the player development side, it's kind of a perfect storm, I think, with the mix of older guys and some of the new faces that we have in this program. So I'm really, really excited to kind of see that pitching staff perform this spring. I think they're going to be pretty solid.
Coach, looking at the outfield, we'll start with your preseason all-conference pick, DJ Dixon. Assess your outfield and how things are looking there with those three spots.
Yeah, so pretty much what I told the outfield when we were going through our exit interviews, it's going to be one of those things where, guys are going to have to prove themselves a little bit. Last year, the outfield was a little bit of a revolving door here and there at different positions. Our outfielders really, when I told this to Coach Bill in the fall, they look totally different than they did last year, even in the spring, just on the defensive side. Offensively, all of them have improved immensely, but on the defensive side, they just seem very more confident in the reads, their first step, their routes to the ball. They understand what it is to hit a cut, keep the ball low, use the long hop if you have to, throw through a cut. So these guys are really understanding outfield play. Coach Bill works with our outfielders. He's done a great job with them. So it's kind of going to be a revolving door. I mean, you have Justin Reed, who's been in and out of the lineup the last couple of years. I expect him to be in there a little bit more consistently in center field. You got Deshaun Prinkleton, Shaheem Pennell, and Dakota Sisson, who's coming off a wrist injury from last year. Those three guys are pretty talented. So there's going to be some competition. And obviously those guys can play the corners as well. And then in right field, you got Gavin Berkheimer, who's a senior this year. Really looking for him to have a good year. And then you have DJ Dixon, who obviously had an incredible year last year as a freshman and is a very, very strong competitor. And, so when you look at the outfield, there's going to be competition. Logan Napoleon's another one that we added to the roster this year. Nice left-handed swing, has really come a long way in the outfield. So when you look at the outfield, I think we have a lot more depth just from how much better these guys have gotten. And we obviously have a lot of talent, a lot of foot speed out there. So I'm excited to see kind of how the outfield plays out this year.
Coach, as a former catcher yourself, I know catching that position is important to you. And, from speaking to you and members of your staff, as a group, this may be the deepest group of catchers that we have. And the more importance now on that position with some of these rule changes now, with pitchers not being able to step off, as many times as they want, and catchers now having an even larger role in controlling the running game. Assess that and how we're looking behind the plate.
Yeah, so this is the deepest that we've been, not only numbers wise, but I think talent wise as well. You have Kyle Haith, who's a senior this year. He's gotten a lot of time back there. I think a lot of things have come together for him through his development and everything. He's really worked hard on his own, as well as at practice, obviously, to improve his throwing, improve his receiving, and offensively, he's gotten better as well. You also have Evan Stanley, who caught for us last year, caught a good amount as a freshman last year. Same thing. He's improved a bunch on his throwing, and even offensively made some adjustments that I think are going to help him out at the plate. You have Jacob Boyle, who had the red shirt last year. Pretty athletic catcher, has a solid arm. Receiving has improved a bunch at the plate. He's going to put the ball in play, and he's going to give you a competitive at bat. He's not going to strike out that much. And then Matt Fry, who's a junior college transfer as well. Pretty talented back there. Solid arm. He's gotten more consistent with his accuracy behind the plate with his arm as the fall went on, as the spring went on. Really good receiver. With the bat, he's got some pop, some doubles pop. He'll run some out here and there. Then you have Tyler Gorbett, who he's very interesting. He's a freshman, from the Richmond area. He can catch. He's going to be a back end bullpen guy for us late in the game. And he can also play a little bit of infield and outfield. So he's kind of a Swiss Army knife for us, and he's pretty talented behind the plate, has some plus ability with the bat. So when you look at that depth, and this is what I told our catchers during the exit interviews, there's still competition, because in the fall, even though we're more talented, I told him this: there wasn't anybody who ran away with it for me. There was a little bit of inconsistency back there. If somebody had a good day, the next day it wasn't so great, and then somebody else had a good day. It was just kind of an up and down with the catchers. They didn't have a bad fall; they had a really good fall, but there wasn't that consistency for me as a head coach to say, "Hey, you're going to be the guy, for 40 plus games this year." I just didn't see that, and I communicated that with them. And I think competition does bring out the best in people, even in a season. Some people don't like it, but I think, the guys who want to compete and the guys who want to be the guy, they'll perform accordingly, and they'll, like you said, take that leadership role, especially this year with some of the changes. You have to have an IQ. You got to understand your guys on the mound, and you got to understand kind of situations, what's going on. And I think all 5 of those guys have that ability to be that. I just need to see it more consistently. I just need to see it. And I'm excited for this group of catchers. I know I told them it's going to be a competition, but I think it's just going to make them better. And honestly, when you have a good group of catchers behind the plate, not only does it make your pitching staff better, but it makes your team better. And that in professional baseball. You look at World Series champions, look at what they have behind the plate. So I'm excited to see that group grow this year.
First base, local product, Cole Harness. He's improved immensely since he arrived. Talk about Cole and other guys who may see some time over there at first.
Yeah, Cole, obviously right here from Coburn, unbelievable kid. And he at first really has improved his defense since he's come to the program. That was one of the things that he really needed to lock in on. And then the bat was always there, obviously the pop. He needs to get better with the strikeouts, and he knows that. And I think he's made a bunch of adjustments at the plate where, I think he's going to be kind of one of those guys that consistently is going to be in the middle of our lineup just because of the bat speed and the pop that he has. And I think with some of the changes, not changes, but some of the adjustments that he's made at the plate to make him a little bit less prone to strikeouts, I think is really going to help him out this year, and obviously help our team out big time as well. You also have Carter Babb. He's somewhat of a local product from Gate City High School. He's another guy who's got some really, really plus attributes with the bat. His bat speed is really good. He hits the ball very hard, and he's got adjustability within his swing to adjust the breaking ball. He's gonna have some growing pains with seeing college pitching, but I don't think those growing pains are going to be too long. He's a pretty special hitter. with all the attributes he has. And I think he understands hitting pretty well. So I expect him to, he's going to be in more of a DH role. We're going to put him over there at first. He's still one of the guys that needs to improve his glove a little bit and just understand defense over at first base. But I'm not too worried about that. He's been working hard on it. And then you also have Brooks, who is he's a two-way guy. He's going to pitch for us in relief to start the year, and he can also play first base. He's pretty special with the bat. He has some plus attributes as well with some of the measurables that you get, and he's pretty athletic over there at first, and he's a pretty good arm for us as well. So we're going to kind of manage him accordingly with being a first baseman and being a pitcher as well. But he's a pretty special player on both sides of the ball. And then second base, you got Hunter Metter, who's a senior this year. He's been one of those guys that's kind of held down second base for about 3 or 4 years now. And, I expect him to be pretty consistent with the bat. He started to find some more consistency last year, and he's had a pretty good fall and a pretty good spring so far. His defense has improved a bunch. You also have Collier Elkins at second base. He's a transfer. He's kind of somewhat of a dirt ball player. He's a high contact guy with the bat. He can handle the bat as well. Has a solid glove on the infield. And then you also have Bernard Crick, who is a freshman. He's improved immensely with the bat from the fall to now. He's just gotten a lot more physical, a lot more stronger. Defensively, he has the tools to be a very good defensive player as well. It's just a matter for him of slowing the game down and using his athleticism more and not being too rigid. At shortstop, we kind of have 3 middle infielders, but the 2 other ones are going to play different positions. So I'll start with Nick Badgett, junior college transfer out of Wake Tech, switch hitter, is solid on both sides of the plate. Really, really good defensively, plus glove, plus feet, plus actions, plus arm, and high IQ for the game as well, which is what you want up the middle. I think he's a pretty special player, and he competes at a high level. When he's on the field, all he wants to do is win. That's all he cares about. He just plays the game the right way. So I'm really excited to see him this year. And then you also have Jeb Hurst, who is a transfer as well, junior college transfer out of Roane State. He's probably going to play a little bit more third for us this year, but he can move between third, short, and second. Good glove, good feet, and I think has plus ability with the bat, gap-to-gap power, understands his swing, understands what he's trying to do at the plate. Really, really good kid, understands the game. You also have a freshman, Morgan Miller, who can play third, short, and second. Probably going to get more time at third or second, but he's going to be a special talent, I think, for us this year, but also for sure in the future. Plus ability with the glove, plus arm, really good feet, knows how to read the hops and everything on the infield, and he does have really, really, really good ability with the bat. It's just a matter of him putting it all together, and I think he's going to do that relatively quick the more he sees college pitching. So I'm excited. I'm excited for our infield. I think this is the deepest our infield's ever been, depth-wise and talent-wise. So I'm really excited to kind of see all of that unfold.
Previewing the baseball season with head coach Brandon Costa. Coach, I like to ask you this every year, and all coaches when we do these season previews. What will have to go right for your team if you and I are having a conversation in May, and you've had what you think has been a successful season? What's the key to success for your club this spring?
Yeah, for us, and like I said, we talked about it since the end of the spring semester last year, and then obviously the beginning of this fall and all the way through. Success for us is winning the conference championship, and in order for us to do that, we have to be consistent, not only with our play but with our mindset, how we handle adversity. We got to stay streamlined, and I think this team has that mentality where they're not going to get too high on highs and they're not going to get too low on lows. I think they're going to kind of stay even keel. And I think that's going to be the key for us, because during a 50-game season, 50-game college season, as a team, you're going to have up and downs. as an individual. You're going to have up and downs, and you just can't get caught up in those. You just got to stay the course, and you just got to keep doing whatever it takes to win, and also doing your job. That's what we talked about a bunch as well. Do your individual job, balls put in play, even preparation, all that stuff like that. If you do your job to your highest ability, you're going to put us in a good position to win. And I think when it comes down to it, it's just consistency with all that. And then there's a bunch of stuff that trickles down from that. If you're consistent with your play, you're consistent with your mindset, your defense is going to be clean, and that's huge. Your pitching is going to be competitive, and they're going to go out there and attack the zone competitively, throw competitive strikes. And then your offense is going to capitalize when it needs to, with runners on, runners in scoring position, and doing their job at the plate to put us in a position to score runs. So I think it all comes back to being consistent with the mindset. I think that leads to consistent play. And then if you're able to do that through a 50-game season, you put yourself in the conference tournament. And then if you can carry that into the conference tournament, you put yourself in a position to win the conference tournament. And that's our goal this year.
Fans, as a note, UVA-wise this year, home games and all conference games will have to be watched on Flow Sports. You can go to UVAWiseCavs.com, click on the baseball schedule, find a conference game, and click Flow Sports. And you can sign up through Flow Sports to watch all the conference games and their home games live on that. This weekend, the season starts at King. Doubleheader starting at 11:30 on Saturday. That game can be watched free of charge live on UVAWiseCavs.com. Coach, thank you for your time. Good luck this season, and I'm sure we'll catch up again here in a week or so.
Thank you, Daryl. Thanks for having me.